Welcome everyone to the Green Fork Food for Thought podcast. Today's guest is Katy Margison. She is a very hardworking woman. She's a nutrition coach, the owner of Athena Nutrition. She's a competitive weightlifter and CrossFit athlete. And she also has her brand, The Sober Weightlifter, where she shares her unique perspective on sobriety and how it has impacted her life inside and outside of the gym. So thanks for coming. I know you're a pretty busy woman. Lots of stuff going on. It's nice to have you here, though.
Yeah. I mean, we're all busy.
Yeah.
I try not to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, true. This past weekend for me was full of parties that I had to go to, 2 birthday parties, golf, busy work, it's just a lot, always a lot. Life of an entrepreneur, right?
Yes, very much so. Soon to be full entrepreneur.
Yeah, so tell me about that. Like you just got into nutrition coaching like last year, started it, and then you also work another job and you're a competitive athlete, so that's a lot.
Yeah, so the nutrition coaching, I'll start there. That was never a life aspiration for me, but what started it was one of my current clients, Jared, and he's fine me saying his name, reached out to me when I was in the depths of my addiction. Yeah. And he was like, do you do coaching at all, like online coaching? And I was like, to be honest, I'm not really in a good spot right now. Yeah. And I wouldn't feel right coaching somebody when I myself don't have it together. I didn't tell him any more than that. Yeah. But I was doing cocaine like multiple days a week at that point. So not good. Yeah. Get sober, time goes on. I start to go on my own weight loss journey, and I reached back out to him in June or July and said, hey, are you still interested? And he's like, yeah, actually, my wife and I would love to talk with you. And I was like, okay. And at the time I was like, I'm going to get my precision nutrition. I already had some certifications, but I was like, let's get more education. I'm a student of life. Yeah. So I was going to take them on for free just to do I have something here? Because clearly somebody's interested. So maybe there's something here. Get my precision nutrition, coach them for a couple months, bring a few more people on for free. And I'm like, all right, I have to monetize this somehow. I can't keep doing it for free. Yeah. So I launched in November and very naively thought that all the people will come to me. Yeah. That does not happen. Yeah. And in January, I hired a business coach, actually, who took it to the next level for me and really helped me understand how to run an online business, because I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. I still don't really feel like I know what I'm doing. I just started today trying my first Facebook ad, and 5 minutes in, I'm like, I'm so confused.
Oh yeah, you can get really detailed with those.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just playing around with some A/B testing right now, just to dip my toes in the water. Cool. But that took me from 3 paying clients to now 25.
Wow.
So nice. I have a good thing going, and I'm pulling back from my full-time job, which I love my full-time job. I'm a director of partner engagement for Adirondack Health Institute. I've been there for 9 years in the healthcare nonprofit space, doing a lot of boots on the ground work in communities. We work with Comfort Food Community and Let's Wells Hospital and everything in between. So I'm not quite stepping away from that full-time job yet. I'm going part-time because it's scary to leave the comfort of a full-time job. So I'm kind of pulling back gradually in the hopes that maybe next year I can go full-time with nutrition coaching as I grow.
Yeah, I mean, 25 people, that's a lot in 1 year. Yeah. I was also doing nutrition coaching for a while, and I still do, but I don't really, put it out there too much just because during COVID, again, same thing, online coaching with people, and people don't understand there's a lot of work that goes into coaching. You constantly have to follow up with people, make sure they're hitting their goals, moral support, continuous education. It's a lot. And
you end up being almost like a therapist at times.
Oh my God, yeah.
I almost consider myself somewhat of a life coach, but without the life coach designation, because I'm looking at deep health. I'm looking at all facets of your life: cultural, emotional, social. Yeah. It's not just here's some macros, have a nice day. Yeah. I don't believe in that, and there is a space out there for that, and if that's what you need, I can do that for you, but
it's easier.
More often than not, women especially need a lot more support and somebody in their corner, because usually they're pouring from an empty cup, and they need somebody who can kind of help them just wade through the BS and be like, this is what is going to work for you based on your life and what you can commit to.
Yeah, I think the emotion aspect of it is maybe 80% of it, right? if you break down the macros and like, here's what you have to eat, on paper or whatever, and you look at the math of it all, like, that's the easy part. But then actually following through with it, that's the hard part. And people will have all kinds of issues around food and everything. So, it's great to work with a coach.
I think so.
Yeah.
The emotional part is a lot of what I work on.
Yeah.
Like, we work on journaling prompts every week, setting intentions, like checking in with ourselves. Like, are you actually hungry? Are you full? Honoring those cues. What does it look like to do that? So it's not intuitive eating, because I don't really believe in that as a first step for a lot of people.
Oh, no.
I tried the intuitive eating. I have the workbook still at home. I will intuitively eat my way through a whole box of Cheez-Its. Like, there's no in between. I think you need to build a good foundation of, like, what is good nutrition and what is good nutrition for you and your lifestyle.
Yeah. What does it feel like?
Yeah.
You can put somebody in a high protein diet, but if their body doesn't respond well to that, you got to change the game plan. And
right.
Yeah, that's great that you have that, and that you're able to, like, like I said, change the game plan. If somebody's not seeing their goals, what's really happening. And I think you made a post about this one time where you're talking about, like, somebody saying, oh, I'm doing all the right things. It's like, no, you're not. So that accountability aspect of checking in and having somebody call you on your bullshit, be like, no, you ate way too much. Like, what are you doing eating pizza?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to,
Yeah, I have to have one of those conversations later today.
Yeah.
I was like, looking at the data tells the story for me.
Yeah.
And if I see inconsistency, you ask me, like, why am I not seeing results? Well, look at the input.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. Like, I will be the most empathetic and kind person to an extent, but I'm also gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. That line of empathy and accountability is hard sometimes. I have a persona on social media that is a little more brash, I know that. But that's almost by design, to, like, be controversial so that people, like, kind of come and engage with the content. But in reality, behind the scenes when I'm coaching, I am very understanding and empathetic, because if you have 3 kids and a busy career and a spouse too, like, your life is so busy, you just need to get right to the point. What do I need to do to see results?
Yeah, exactly. And you can speak to all this nutrition stuff because you've been in fitness for a super long time. Do you do fitness coaching as well? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not in person anymore. I did teach CrossFit or coach CrossFit for 6+ years.
Yeah.
At Lake George CrossFit, now Community Fitness, and I'm still actively certified, so I stop and do it sometimes if it's needed, but it just got to be too much. I wanted to train more competitively, and that was kind of eating into my time, but I love coaching people in person, leading a class. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is.
Good motivating environment, and just, like, helping people to understand how to move properly.
Yep.
Especially someone who comes off the street. Those are my favorite athletes, those who come in and, like, they don't know how to do a body weight squat.
Yeah.
And I can teach them how to do that. I love that person almost more than, like, the 18-year-old athlete who can come in and, like, snatch 100 kilos. Like, great, but I think I have more impact with, like, Karen, who's coming in and she's 45 and hasn't stepped in a gym in years. And, like, kudos to her for coming into a CrossFit gym, because it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But now my fitness coaching is more program design behind the scenes. So I have a lot of, like, master pre-built programs that I'll send to people, but I do custom programming for a couple folks. One of my longtime clients, I'm doing powerlifting programming for her, which, spoiler, I got that from my weightlifting coach. I didn't come up with the program, but I'm executing it for her. And now I'm a weightlifting coach. So we have a barbell club at our gym in Lake George, and I am a coach on that. So that's more at meets a couple times a year, and then occasionally eyes on athletes when I can. But in person, it's a lot less. Primarily, I'm online now.
Yeah. Tell me about that whole, what is it? It's Olympic weightlifting that you do? Yeah, so tell me about that. It's different from powerlifting.
Yes.
I've seen some powerlifting meets. There's a guy at the gym right now, Kenny Rhodes, who's doing a powerlifting. He's been competing for a while now in different meets and stuff, but your thing is a little different, so tell me about that.
Yeah, the Olympic weightlifting world is not well known to the masses, because when I say to people like, oh, I compete in Olympic weightlifting, they're like astounded. I'm like, I'm not in the Olympics.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm not that good.
Yeah.
It's just the style. Or they'll think it's powerlifting and they're like, how much do you bench?
Right.
Like, not very much.
Right.
But it is 2 lifts, snatch and clean and jerk. And in meets, you get 3 attempts to do each. So you get 3 attempts at the snatch, and then you take a break, 10 minutes, 3 attempts at a clean and jerk. And that's it. So you have 30 to 60 seconds on a platform to take months of training and put it to the test. So no pressure, right?
Yeah.
Very much like a powerlifting meet. Like you
Yeah.
have a minute and that is it. So
All eyes on you.
it's very nerve-wracking. Like I was near tears the first time I competed because I was so nervous, and now I love it.
Yeah.
Love it so much.
Have you been doing that style of exercising or working out, like with the Olympic lifts, like since CrossFit? I mean, that's big in CrossFit. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit also has gymnastics and some other stuff in there too. But how long have you been doing that?
I've been in CrossFit, the CrossFit world, for 12 and a half years. That's how I know Mike.
Yeah.
And I laugh at the beginning of your guys' podcast where you guys were talking about a story about me from way back in the day.
Yeah.
I've known him forever. But the Olympic weightlifting, I started in 2021. I was getting kind of tired of CrossFit. I was like, I need to do something different. I'm always going to be an athlete. I'm always going to do fitness in some capacity. It may just look different over the years. Right now, this is the season I'm in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just try it for, I think, 8 weeks. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And now I'm competing nationally. I'd love to compete internationally someday. So I've got big goals. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking with somebody about the gym at the gym earlier about the importance of having those type of goals. Like, I did jiu-jitsu for a while, so I was like staying in shape for that and kind of preparing for that. But right now I really don't have anything, and I can kind of feel it. Like I'm not as motivated to go to the gym. I still go, but like my workouts aren't really programmed towards any kind of goal. Same thing with nutrition. I'm kind of just in maintenance, just like, I guess, enjoying life, not really focused on anything, but I need to find something. Like, I don't know, I was looking at those high rocks things.
I want to do a high rocks.
Yeah. My friend just did one yesterday down in the city.
Yeah.
It was great.
I've been looking more and more at that. More because I'm dealing with some hip issues right now, trying to rehab it. It's going somewhat well, but it's forced me to look at, like, how long can I compete at this level, at this intensity. I don't want a hip replacement right now, but I'm kind of like, that may be the only option for me.
Yeah.
So high rocks seems like a good in between. So I train Olympic weightlifting 5 days a week right now. I don't have a meet that I'm registered for though. So like you, I don't really have a goal at the moment. I'm also going on vacation at the end of this week, so that's not helping. But I do so much better when I have a meet on the horizon. I'm like, okay, we're locked in, we have a focus.
Yeah.
Right now I'm like, I'm kind of eating more at maintenance, like maybe a kilo heavier than I normally am, which is like not a big deal. But I need to have those kind of goals, or it's easier for me to not make excuses, because I wouldn't call it that, but just be a little more relaxed in my approach to training and nutrition.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have a goal or I have a competition, I'm laser focused on that. But high rocks interest me because I've been jumping in on CrossFit classes more and more because I want to keep my cardiovascular endurance up.
Yeah.
And I really like the hybrid nature of what I'm doing right now. It's not high rocks by any means, but kind of feels like, okay, I could do that kind of training very well.
Yeah. It's similar to CrossFit. I mean, there's no Olympic lifting. I think I think you run like a total of 6 miles, and there's some exercises in between.
That's where I would need work. Is
the running, yeah,
not
for
the best
sure.
runner.
But yeah, having goals. So do you set goals for your clients, like whether it's a weight loss goal or a body recomp goal, so that they can have something to reach for, and it's not just kind of like, oh, we're gonna lose weight. Like you have to set up smart goals, right?
Right. Most of them come to me with a number in mind, and I tend to tell them, like, we're going to focus on everyday behaviors and not outcomes. We have that number in mind, but I found it was so much more beneficial for me personally to just remove the outcome and just, this is how I live my life now.
Yeah.
That's what I want to teach women and men. I have a few male clients. That if we just do a couple of non-negotiables every day, it becomes a part of your life and you don't have to overthink it all the time.
Yeah.
That overthinking is what usually leads to burnout and throwing in the towel. This idea that I have to cut out a whole food group, or I have to eat like under 1,500 calories a day, which, by the way, ladies, don't do that shit. Or just whatever crazy diet they think of. Carnivore is really popular right now, and I'm not saying I don't see the benefit in that, but at the end of the day, you're eating less food. That's probably why you're losing weight. And if you can just do a couple simple things every day, it starts to pay off. But the hard thing, especially for women, is they want results like that. And I have these conversations every week, sometimes every day. Well, the scale isn't moving. The scale isn't moving. I'm like, we've been only doing this for 9 days. You have to give it more time. And then if 2 weeks goes by and I don't see any movement, are you weighing and measuring your food? Let's have that conversation. I don't introduce a lot right away because I don't want to overwhelm people who aren't used to doing that. We start weighing and measuring. We look at the food choices. Like, if you're having a Fairlife shake for breakfast, I'm proud of you for getting protein in, but like, let's try to have some real food. Like, can we get an egg in there somewhere? Maybe a berry. But I don't have time. All right, meal prep. Do you have time on the weekends? Can you get up 5 minutes earlier to put together a yogurt bowl? Like, there's
order
ways
green
around.
fork.
Or green fork, yes. Shameless plug.
I think that's huge for me. That's the smart approach, right? Is like, don't focus on the goal necessarily. I mean, have it there. It's a good thing to have, but a lot of people also don't realize that it's more than just a number on the scale. Do you use InBody or anything like that?
No. I've wanted to do it myself. Like, anything I ask my clients to do, I am also doing. So I kind of want to try that out for myself, see if there's benefit, and then push that out. And I love data like that. Like, I wear an Oura Ring, Apple Watch. Like, I'm like always looking at my own data. How can I be better? Is my sleep good enough? Like, how am I managing stress? Things like that. This tells me a lot about stress, which is good. But InBody's interesting. I want to do that. I don't know a lot about it, but I want to do it.
It just gives you your body composition, so it'll actually tell you how much muscle mass you have percentage-wise versus body fat. Which I think is the big thing for most people. Like, they want that sculpted, toned look or whatever. And you can be gaining muscle and losing body fat, and the scale's not going to change.
I tell my clients that all the time. I'm like, you just started strength training and using dumbbells. Like, you were building muscle. That could be part of the equation. That's why I do progress photos. That's why I do measurements and the scale, because then I can look at all these different data points and figure out, like, all right, you lost like 3 inches, but maybe a half pound. You lost 3 inches. Look at your photos from week to week. And that usually helps them to get out of their head, because the scale can get in a lot of women's heads and not in a good way.
Absolutely. And that's never good. You talked a lot about, I wanted to ask you about nutrition myths that are that are out there. And you told me the story about, somebody had avocado toast versus an egg sandwich, and one of them was supposedly bad and the other one's not bad. Which is kind of bullshit, right?
I don't like to label foods necessarily as good or bad. Now, and like the idea of the word cheat meal, I hate that word. Like, if you have to cheat on your diet, it's probably not the right one for you. And even the word diet has this negative connotation sometimes. Like, can we just focus on good, nutrient-dense whole food? Like, 85% of the time we spend over here, and then the other 15% of the time have the foods that like nourish your soul and make you happy. I mean, these foods should make you happy too. But that's how I explain it to people when I get on a call with them if they're interested. It's like, I'm not going to tell you to cut out bread and pasta. I'm not going to tell you can't drink alcohol just because I'm a sober person. When you start to set limits like that, you end up failing over time, because you're just, that restriction means you want that thing, then you end up binging on that thing when you do get access to it. So there's a lot of myths out there. I just did a group coaching call on this. One of them was, I did fitness and nutrition. So one of the fitness ones was you have to sweat to get a good workout in. Talked about how that's not reality, because I don't sweat that much when I'm lifting, and I get a good workout in, and most mornings I wake up with visible abs now, so like weightlifting works, and I'm not sweating, so you don't have to sweat. What's another one with carbs make you fat?
Yeah. You mentioned carnivore earlier, and that's why
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, all these fad diets that are out there and saying, like, this is the only way to do it. That's just not true. I mean, you can play around with different things. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, if carnivore works for you, fine. But realize that you're probably missing a lot of key nutrients, and you're just eliminating a whole food group.
Yeah.
Carbs and carbs.
And like vegetables too. Like
And-
the
yeah.
vegetables are not in carnivore as far as I understand, and even fruit.
No, I think sometimes some people can have like a little bit of fruit. So, but
And like all the micronutrients and vitamins that you
Yeah.
are missing out on.
yeah, yeah, but it does work for some people. I've heard that
Yeah.
it's good for people with autoimmune disease because there's not a lot of inflammatory foods.
Right.
So
right.
that would be one case. Fasting, for example, is cool because you can eat whatever you want, but it's within a window of time. So that theoretically would help you cut down your calories. So I don't know.
All signs point to calories in, calories
Yeah,
out.
that's it. Yeah.
Like the laws of thermodynamics always apply. It's just how you go about it. And I try not to demonize. Actually, no, I'll take that back. I will demonize like supplements, like detox teas and
Oh, yeah.
de-bloating pills and shit like that drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
waist trainers, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. No.
Yeah, like the gimmicky stuff.
And listen, I've tried all of it. Even
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, I saw an influencer promoting de-bloating pills, and I was like, "Oh man, I should try that," and it didn't work.
What is it, like probiotics?
I don't
Prebiotics?
even remember like what was
Yeah.
in it, but she like posted a before and after. She was probably just sucking it in the after.
Yeah, well, a lot of these influencers are like 21-year-old women that are athletes,
Yeah.
and they look great, and then they don't even take this supplement, but they get paid to promote
the
it.
world of influencer marketing is wild. How
Yeah.
much people get paid, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I would do that for free.
Yeah,
like
right.
come on.
Yeah, well, I think you're doing a great job of what you are putting out there on social media. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all
thank
like
you.
no nonsense crap, and you're not pushing, you're not saying drink lemon water in the morning, it'll solve all your problems.
No.
It's like consistency, have a plan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really what it is.
If I am promoting something someday, it's because I've taken it myself.
Yeah.
And I have been approached by different companies to promote this or that. And I'm like, I already take supplements I get them from Thorne. I trust Thorne.
Yeah.
I like Thorne.
Yeah, me too.
They have NSF certified for sport. I'm a drug tested athlete. So I'm prioritizing clean supplements wherever I can.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm not interested in other companies, but this is what works for me. So Thorne, if you want to sponsor me, I'm open to it. But
I think you can. I have another friend named Katy, who is an ambassador for them.
I should look into that.
yeah, so if you get your clients to sign up for whatever, if they buy the products, you get like a kickback or whatever. Yeah, but there's tons of stuff out there like that, and I feel like, the real stuff that works isn't sexy. It's not.
No.
It's just
No,
consistency.
it doesn't sell. And
Yeah.
that's the frustration with the social media world is like the people who are really popular are often promoting things that don't necessarily align with probably how you and I think or coach. And that's not to say that they're wrong, but I'm somebody who really believes in integrity in what I do, and I'm not going to say something just to like get likes on social media. I might have a harsh delivery sometimes, but what I'm saying is true to what I believe and how I coach.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me to maintain that authenticity in what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, start promoting a supplement just because they want to pay me a lot of money.
Yeah. You know what one I fell for was Shilajit.
Oh.
Have you seen that? It's like this
Yeah.
black tar stuff, and I guess it has a lot of.
We have somebody at our gym that takes that, and
Yeah.
he swears by it.
Yeah, I guess it couldn't hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
they talk a lot about the benefits of it, but for me, it just wasn't worth the money. I wasn't seeing, that big of a result. So
Right.
whatever. But it's like the same guy that I think sells I see him all the time. He pops up for all these different supplement companies. I'm like, dude, this guy's just for sale.
Right,
Selling
right.
whatever is going to bring him money, but whatever.
Creatine's like the one
Yeah.
thing that I'm like that worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually say a multivitamin, Thorne multivitamin. I do the AM, PM, creatine, a protein powder, a clean one, a fish oil, and then, some like electrolytes or whatever.
It's pretty much what I do every day, and
Yeah.
I do vitamin D in the wintertime.
Yeah, good. Yeah, those are like they'll cover most of your bases that you aren't getting from food, and it's not going to break the bank so much. And with those, I feel like you get the most bang for your buck. People have like a whole desk full of different pills that they're taking, and I'm like, you can simplify that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another somewhat frustrating thing about what I do is educating people around going to food for those things and not necessarily to a quick fix or a supplement or a powder or a bar or a shake.
Yeah.
And I say that because I have a Bearbell bar in my bag.
Yeah.
But I'm on the go today, so I'm like,
Yeah.
that's better than me stopping and getting Cheetos.
Right.
And there's time and place, right? But supplementing with shakes is something that women do very frequently, like the Fairlife shakes, the Core Power, whatever. They're very popular nowadays. And I'm not saying that you can't have those, but let's look at our daily schedule and can we fit in a little time to prep some food or have a more nourishing breakfast so that at 2 p.m. you're not crashing, you're not snacking at 7 or 8 at night. When women come to me and say like they snack late at night, that immediately tells me like, what does your breakfast look like?
Yeah.
What are you fueling yourself with at the beginning of the day? Because you're probably not setting yourself up for success. And that's why you feel like you're starving. By the time you get to dinner, you're grazing off your kid's plate, unknowingly consuming another 200 or 300 calories, and just stuck in this endless loop. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. I think people get caught up with the supplements, and it should be to do exactly that. Just supplement what you're not getting through food. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of problems out there on the internet. I think people just, one I saw recently was people sort of like hijacking other people's Instagram accounts and then like doing like a green screen over the top of it. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I just found out about it, but they'll take like a super popular fitness woman or whatever and show her doing her workout, her original content, and then just talk over that. Be like, oh, this is a good leg routine or whatever. And it's like you didn't give any credit to that person that created the
that would drive me nuts if somebody did that.
Yeah.
I would not do that. No, it's not cool.
Yeah. So you're not training for any meets coming up, and you're kind of just focused on building your business.
Yes.
Tell me about like what it's been like learning all these new business things, because I know for me, and you and I had talked about this one time where it's just business is hard. Like
it's so
I make
hard.
mistakes all the time, and I have to eat
day.
every one of them,
Yeah.
and I have to go own up to things where I'm like, my bad, I'm sorry, I'll fix it. So there's a lot of stuff like that happens, and just learning taxes. Luckily, I've been able to outsource to a lot of people. Like I have a social media person that does most of my stuff. I've got an accountant and all that, but do you use any like apps or any software or anything to help you?
So much.
Yeah, and that's a learning
A good
process.
CPA is clutch.
Yeah.
The taxes part I'm good. I pay quarterly. We are good.
Yeah.
And I have a consulting business too, so this isn't my first foray into business ownership, but this is different because my consulting business is more project management. This is people.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different ballgame. And I have learned that nobody cares about your business as much as you.
Yep.
And people suck for the most part. And my business coach said that early on because I was pissed because I had 2 or 3 calls with women where they just didn't show up to the strategy sales call. And he's like, you got to learn now that people suck.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I've developed a thicker skin over time that sometimes people just aren't ready.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But apps wise, I'm kind of pivoting right now. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Go High Level, but it is a back end like workflow automation software that my business coach is marketing guy and are building mine out. So if I onboard a new client, they get pushed an onboarding course that I've filmed all the content for.
Oh, cool.
Then they can book their call with me to like just wrap things up and go on their way, depending on like what tier they fall into, because I have a couple different packages. So I'm using that. I use Trainerize for my coaching, which I love Trainerize. It's not perfect, but it does the job. Mm-hmm. And I like that it was able to grow with you. So I started with 5 seats and now I have 30.
Yeah.
And I can grow further if I need to. What else am I using? I'm forgetting things. I use like small things like Zoom and Calendly for like booking and video, but Trainerize is the big one, and then Stripe for payment processing. Like
Yeah.
All these things I'm like, I didn't know I was like taking Venmo payments.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
And
I was
now,
using Google Sheet, like sending just emails and Google Sheets and documents and stuff, and looked into something like Trainerize, but I just, I never took that jump. But it takes a very type A personality, which I'm guessing you are.
yes.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, we'll do this, we'll do that, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like type A plus.
Yeah. Well, that's
Which
good.
lends itself well to what I do because I'm very efficient and
Yeah.
I try to be very organized. I think where I fall short is I have ADHD. I take
Oh, yeah.
medication for it. It doesn't work half the time, I feel like.
Yeah.
I am like all over the place. So
Yeah.
when I get back from my vacation and that's when I'm going part-time, I'm going to start using time blocking. I've not done that before, but like Monday's my day. I'm going to do all my check-in forms with my clients. I'm going to work on my content for the week. I'm going to plan out the week better than I currently am.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday through Friday, I can devote half those days to my job and to coaching and just be more efficient that way. Because right now I'm just like,
Yeah, a little all over the place.
it's so bad.
Yeah, I'm getting better at that. I mean, like I said, I'm not very type A, but having this podcast and having to schedule people out, and that's been kind of like a wake up call to like use your calendar.
Oh, I live and die by my calendar. It's
Yeah.
color coded.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not my calendar, it does not exist right now because there are days where from 7 in the morning till 8 at night, I am like in meetings or doing something that's on my calendar. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
when you first start a business, you have to work your ass off.
Yeah.
And I knew what I signed up for. I think I went like 108 days without a day off, and I was like, all right, we got to do something here.
Yeah.
We can't keep going like this.
Yeah. Developing all those systems for all the things just makes things so much easier, and you're not trying to remember, what you have to do tomorrow. Where are you going on vacation?
Italy.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. I'm so
cool.
excited.
Yeah. What's going on over there? Just sightseeing and stuff?
Yeah. 2 weeks, which is the longest I've ever gone away. So I'm
Yeah.
like a little nervous to like be gone from everything, but I'm still like working. You can't really shut off
Yeah.
when you own a business,
Right.
and I don't want to leave my clients alone for 2 weeks. I feel like
Yeah.
that could be a slippery slope for some of them.
Yeah.
So they need that support. So I'm still checking in, just not video check-ins. I'm not doing
Yeah.
any video check-ins, but sightseeing, we're going to Rome, Florence, Venice, Pisa, Pompeii, Sorrento. My husband's family is from Italy, so we're going to go visit some of his family out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eat
I'm
some
so-
good food, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It will be interesting because I'm going to try not to like track for
Yeah.
2 weeks because you're on vacation, it's Italy.
Yeah.
But I've got like over a year straight of tracking in my fitness pal, and I'm like, I'm going to lose my strength.
Oh no, it's all gonna go downhill.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that deep.
No, you can do it. Yeah.
I'm excited to eat food like that and not feel like crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that the flour over there is different, and they make fresh pasta when they do it, so it's like you don't get that bloating that you get
Right.
here. I've never been gluten free, but I think that I have a little sensitivity to it.
I do too.
Yeah, you can just feel it, right? Like a pizza or pasta or something like that. Now I just feel a little bit more weighed down. I use rice noodles in all my green fork stuff, and I found that is a little less heavy.
Okay.
With less after effect. But yeah, in Europe and stuff, they don't have that. So eat your way through Italy. I'm a little jealous.
That is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Just like not now. Granted, I teach my clients like we don't have guilt around food,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to just like not have any sort of guilt or trepidation about having a croissant for breakfast and then
Yeah.
pasta for lunch and dinner.
Yeah. Eat the carbs. Why not? Are you still gonna be working out when you're there?
Well, you walk a ton,
Yeah.
so there's that. We are dropping into a few CrossFit gyms.
Cool.
I like going to other gyms around the country or the world now because
Yeah.
I've not traveled internationally recently, so I'm excited about that. We're going to one in Rome and one in Giulianova.
Cool. Yeah, get some workouts in. That'll
Yeah.
be fun. Try to understand what they're saying.
In Rome, I don't think it'll be an issue because
Yeah.
a lot of English-speaking folks there. It's a very it's like New York City.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. My husband knows a little bit of Italian, so I'm unfortunately relying on him a little bit
Yeah.
because I've been studying it here and there, but I don't really know.
Yeah, it's not like you have the time to learn another language with all the things you're doing.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
So do you have this thing, because I know I do, where like, I'll I'm not super strict about what I eat right now, currently. But once I started learning nutrition, it was like I can't look at a piece of food, no matter what it is, without being like carbs, fats, and proteins.
Yep.
You know, it's like just ingrained.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just seeing calories on menus, sometimes I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Ugh, choices.
Yeah.
But it's made. I'm so much more aware and conscious. I've been tracking my food off and on for over a decade. So I have a good understanding of what constitutes a carb, fat, and a protein.
Yep.
I'm more dialed in now, though, because of how certain foods make me feel.
Yeah.
So I also am in a bit of a maintenance phase right now. We had pizza the other night for dinner. I felt horrible after.
Yeah.
It was good,
Yeah.
but I was immediately like unwell.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I don't do this that often anymore, because it just doesn't make me feel good. And our barbell club is gearing up for a state championship in September. So I will be registering for that more than likely. So I will have a goal soon. I'm kind of just like already in vacation mode a little bit. And I'm like, get me out of here.
Yeah, good for you. You deserve that. I mean, one of the pillars of health that I talk about on Green Fork is mental health, right? And so just taking time, it doesn't have to be a 2-week vacation, but, you know, whether it's an hour of like yoga or meditation or just stretching, relaxing, like hanging out, even just watching TV or reading a book or something like that, like something to, you know, mitigate all the stress in your life, which I'm sure you have a ton of, you know.
Well, and I tell my clients, this is an area where do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I've gotten better recently about work-life balance because January through April, I made the mistake of putting a lot of clients on Sundays to check in because that was when they were available, not realizing that was my only day off and I was not having a day off. So they were all so good about me switching them to other times. And that's freed up a lot of mental space for me where I'm not as like anxious anymore.
Yeah.
But I literally had a text message exchange with a client this morning. I'm like, can you take 5 minutes today to just like go breathe? Because she's got a lot going on. And I preach that to my clients, especially women with like children and careers. They have no mental headspace for themselves. So I'm like, where can we find little pockets of time to do something for you? And that looks different for everybody. I mean, even going to therapy, I think that's so important.
Yeah.
I go to therapy.
I do too. Yeah.
In fact, in this day and age, like if you're not going to therapy, what are you doing? Like,
I mean,
you have a blessed life.
I can't imagine. I mean, I love those sessions. I just vent, and most of the time it's just me talking, and she's like, "Yep, okay," but I feel like recharged afterwards.
Yeah, and it's somebody who can also, you know, I have an individual therapist, and my husband and I go to marriage therapy too, and our marriage therapist calls me out on my bullshit every single time, and I embrace it because I need to be called out sometimes too. Like, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
There are areas where I can improve and be a better partner, friend, whatever that is. So I like that accountability because I'm holding everyone else accountable every day, but who's holding me accountable?
Right.
And I think by being a coach, that in and of itself holds you accountable because you want to be a good role model.
Yeah.
But outside of that, in life, it's good to have those people to just keep you in check.
Yeah, for sure. Coaches need coaches.
Yes. Whether that's therapy or their own nutrition coach or business coach for me, I've said, like, if your coach doesn't have a coach, question that a little bit.
Yeah.
They should be working on themselves in some capacity. It doesn't mean I myself need a nutrition coach, but I have a weightlifting coach. I have 2 therapists. I have a business coach. So I am always trying to learn from other people who are doing something better than me that I don't know how to do.
Yeah, that's how you grow.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff. So you don't have a nutrition coach, but when you are competing, what does your nutrition look like? Like, how many calories and all that?
It depends on my goals. So Olympic weightlifting is a weight class sport. And for a long time, I was always chasing a lower weight class. I wanted to be lighter, lower. I achieved that, but then they just changed all the weight classes again. So I was competing as a 64 kilo lifter, and I'm comfortable there. And before that, I was a 71. At one point, I was a 76. They just changed it to 63 or 69. So I'm trying to decide right now, do I want to go a kilo lighter and maybe have to be in a deficit and hungry and Is that conducive to strength training?
Yeah.
Or do I just want to be in the 69 and eat a little more food and gain the strength that I kind of lost when I lost a bunch of weight last year? I'm leaning more towards the 69 because it's not really in line with kind of the direction I'm going in my life of like starving yourself to fit weight classes. I did that, and it's not fun. Like, it's not fun.
No, it's not. I work with some fighters, some MMA fighters, and these guys have to cut like 30, 40 pounds, and they don't really have that to lose. You know, they're like lean guys and have to cut all this weight, and they're dehydrating themselves towards the end. So I work with them and I tell them, like, you know, here's this plan. You're going to have to train really hard. You're going to have to eat this many calories. You're going to be in a deficit. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be pissed off, but use it, you know, and then try to go as far as you can without that dehydration.
Water cuts. Ugh.
Yeah, these guys will, if say they're fighting at like 130 or 140, they weigh in the day before that morning, and then they refuel like after the weigh-in, and then they're actually competing at like 20 pounds heavier that they gain back in like a day. Yeah, it's insane.
Oh my god.
Yeah, these guys are most of the time super dedicated though. You know, I don't know if it's like that for weightlifting where you have to. Not
that big of a swing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, any time that I've been facing like not making weight, or any of my teammates, we're within a half kilo or a kilo, and honestly, like overnight, you can lose that.
Yeah.
and I even get so specific as like, this is how many grams you have left to meet your goal of weighing in. Like, weigh out your food. If that's 300 grams and you need 1,000, like we're good. So it's very dialed in at that point. But for me, I'm leaning towards the other heavier weight class. It is more competitive, which is a drawback. Whereas if I went lighter, I would be more competitive there. So there's pros and cons to both, but I don't really want to go down to sub 1,800 calories a day when I'm doing that kind of training. I want to be able to eat 21, 22, 2,300 calories, 200 plus grams of carbs, and feel good about that.
Yeah. It's just a question of your performance. How do you want to feel? How do you want to perform?
Yeah. And I've been eating more food lately and feeling really good, and my numbers are starting to come back up a little bit after being in a deficit for almost 5 months last year, which is a long time to be in a deficit, probably too long. Yeah. And I lost strength. My squat numbers, nowhere near what they used to be.
Yeah.
So that's the sacrifice you sometimes have to make.
Yeah. But, have you experienced any injuries? I don't want to, bring anything to light here, but I know that when I did a lot of I got into it through yoga, through fitness, through yoga and like kettlebells and functional training, animal flow, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then when I did do I was more so bodybuilding programming, but I was lifting a lot heavier than I had ever done, and then injuries started just coming right away, despite all the mobility and stuff that I did. But how do you mitigate that?
I'm going to yoga tonight.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I'm going to yoga. I love yoga, hot yoga especially. Yeah. So I've navigated injuries, since 2 years into CrossFit, various injuries, and right now I'm dealing with a hip injury. That is recurring, and I've had surgery on it for a labrum tear. It's not showing on an MRI right now, but it's probably retorn a little bit, and that makes squatting deep very painful. So now I'm trying to retrain myself to just be right at parallel. And in Olympic weightlifting, there's no requirement for squat depth the way there is in powerlifting. So I'm good. Yeah. But it definitely has made me completely change my training around, where I didn't squat for almost 8 weeks. Now I'm starting to reintroduce it, and it's been pain-free. So yay. Good. But physical therapy once a week. Stretching, I have a 20-minute minimum stretching routine before I start lifting or touching a barbell, especially as I get older. Prioritizing nutrition, sleep, especially I try to get 7 hours a night, minimum. More is great. But physical therapy has been the biggest thing. I try to stay away from medications or surgery if I can, but it's humbling to have to take a step back as an athlete and train around an injury or avoid the area entirely. And I've had shoulder, I've had wrist, I've had hip, I've had back. So almost every body part has troubled me in some way. Yeah. And I've always managed to get through it with just extra attention on physical therapy, mobility, yoga, and the pillars of health, as you say, your
Right.
sleep, your stress, your nutrition.
Yeah, it all plays a factor for sure. Because we hold tension in our bodies, and without even realizing it, will be up here, and that just promotes injury. Tight muscles, and without a proper warm up, you just go in and start lifting heavy. Like you're gonna get hurt.
100%. I went to 2 retreats where we did like energy work and release, and it was wild.
Yeah.
It was freaking wild.
It's powerful, isn't it?
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I have a friend who I want to have on here. She does like sound healing, and she's got these like crazy expensive crystal bowls, and you go in, and they do that at Yoga Mandali actually sometimes.
Yeah, my friend Kayla Selmeyer, who owns Grounded on Glen Street in Glens Falls, does sound bowls.
Yeah.
And I had her at a conference that I put on 2 weeks ago. She had her mobile meditation bus come up,
Cool.
and I offered sessions for free to care managers who, the whole conference was around like burnout, stress. These
Yeah.
are people who have caseloads of 50 plus patients who are like the sickest of the sick.
Yeah.
And we did the mobile meditation bus. We had her do a sound bowl session. I went on the mobile meditation bus, and I was like in another universe. Like I woke up and I was like, I feel drunk right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. And some of the breath work that I do sometimes, it gets me like just really high.
Buzzing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess this is a good segue to talk about your sobriety then.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of, your brand and who you are, and congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
think it's been how long now?
Like 518 days. I
Nice.
just checked the other day. It's nice that I don't have to check all that often anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm surprised too.
Yeah.
It's been wild.
Yeah.
I never envisioned that I would get, because I've tried to get sober before.
Yeah.
I made it like 3 months, and I was like, oh, I can moderate. I can be
Yeah.
fine. And that's the lies we tell ourselves. And
Yeah.
COVID made it a lot worse, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
They shut down the gyms and open up the liquor stores.
Right, it's so freaking stupid.
Yeah.
COVID pissed me off.
Yeah.
But I was drinking like every day
Yeah.
in 2023. Pretty much every single day. Maybe Mondays I didn't drink, but I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then, cocaine kind of came into the picture. I had done it here and there and done like mushrooms and tried things, but I don't know really how it just kind of started happening, where it just became like every Friday, and then it was every Friday and Saturday, and then it was every Friday, Saturday, and then sometimes on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have a full-time job. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
Trying to go to a meeting virtually at 8 a.m. and I haven't gone to bed yet. Like,
Yeah.
I could lose everything. And I was still weightlifting through all of that. I don't know how. Like,
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? If I don't go to bed by 9 o'clock, like, I'm toast
Yeah.
for the next day.
Yeah, like you were saying before, like your body's so clean now that when you eat a piece of pizza, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. Having drinks or anything like that, it's like, it's gonna tear you up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing, like, I always used to be so naive about addiction and think like, oh, well, people always have a choice. And I was so wrong about that.
Yeah.
Because I had a choice and it like took hold, and I couldn't stop. It was all I thought about. I posted early on that Sober Weightlifter account, like all these text messages that I had screenshotted, and it starts off like light and fun, like, oh, I drank too much last night, oh, I'm hungover, oh, last night was so crazy, and then it progressively shows my mental health just declining.
Yeah.
And the last text message is like, I'm a piece of shit, like, I want to kill myself. Like, I was at the point where I was like, this is not worth living anymore, this is so bad. And in December of 2023, I was like, I've got to put a stop to this, like, I cannot keep doing this. And that was like early mid-December, and I was like, January 1st seems like a good day, but I'm gonna keep partying until then. It didn't make any freaking sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've never stuck to a New Year's resolution before. What makes you think this is gonna work? But my last line of cocaine was like at 5 a.m. on New Year's Day, and I was like, that's it.
No more.
And I have stuck to it.
Nice.
And that was my last drink.
Yeah.
And what really made me stick to it was, I, at that time, was training for the American Open, which is a national meet, so that would have me at about 2 months sober. And as we were getting close to it, somebody said to me, like, oh, I bet Katie will have a glass of red wine in her hand, like, as soon as she's done lifting. And I was like, that's what people think of me. Like, I'm always the party girl. I'm always the one that's drinking. I'm like, this is not me.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me so profoundly that I'm like, no, we're not going to go back to drinking. We can't do this anymore. And it just continued to compound. And then I was like 6 months in, and nobody really knew at that point I was sober. I hadn't come out publicly about it, but I watched this documentary that actually, where I work, one of the grants that we used to have that was focused on opioid response did this documentary.
Okay.
It's called The Hope of Recovery, I think. Very powerful. I watched it and I was like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I need to go public with this. I just felt like compelled to say something.
Yeah.
So at 6 months, I made this long post and I was like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, what are people going to think of me? Nobody knew that I was doing cocaine other than a few people that I did it with, and my husband, who I did it with, who's also, fun fact, sober just over a year.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew from there. People started reaching out like, I had no idea. Yeah. Like, I hid it pretty well for a long time that I had this problem. And now it's become somewhat of a brand. And I hate to say like my personality, but it is a part of who I am now, and I kind of have to lean into that to stay on the right path.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to even think of like going to Italy this week. Like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to have any of that Italian wine. Yeah. That kind of sucks. But I'm not going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it, but there's still that part of me that's like, could I?
Yeah, it's like we were talking about with food earlier, and like having to give something up, you know, versus like thinking about all the other good things that you're gonna get to have, you know. But I think you coming out publicly is like inspiring people, you know.
I hope.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think a lot of people struggle. I know I have too. I struggled. I've been sober for periods of time before. I'm not now, but you know, I have done it for an extended period of time, and I just learned so much about myself. You know, like it's crazy how much you just bury yourself under drugs and alcohol, and like, you know, just not like prolong the problem, right? Which is like probably something deep within you that you're hurting from.
Right.
And this last round of 75 Hard, I went like 90 days, and I just learned so much about myself, and you know, I cried a lot. I went through all that deep inner work, and I mean, it was just a crazy journey, crazy transformation, and I've, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sober now, but I drink a lot less, and when I do, I'm a lot more conscious about it. You know, it might be something I want to try, but it was inspiring when I was going through that to see your content and be like, oh yeah, you know, you can do this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's still like, I have to often take a step back and be like, you're doing this, like, because I'm so in it every day that I don't stop to think about like how far I've come. Started a business and helping women, and mostly women and some men, like figure out how to live a healthier life for themselves. And I have had clients come to me specifically because of my sobriety. And they are either newly sober or sober curious and want to work on that, and wanted to come to me because they figured I could help them navigate it because I've been through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like, it's so humbling. Like, I tell my clients, I'm like, thank you for trusting me, because you're coming to me probably in some of the most vulnerable space or time in your life. And for some of them, like, I've gotten clients from like TikTok. They don't know me, and they're trusting me, and I'm like, that is such an honor. And I don't take that lightly whatsoever, that people are trusting me with all of this information and the deepest parts of their lives. I mean, I have women like who have cried on calls with me, and I love that I'm a safe space for that. I never thought that would be where I am, because at one point I wish I had someone like me. When I was early in my sobriety, I didn't really tell anybody. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't have community. I just raw dogged it every day. And at that time, my husband was still drinking. And it was so hard. Like, I white knuckled every single day, and I was just angry. Like, now I'm good. I'm like, I used to think I was an extrovert. It was the alcohol. And now I'm like, I think I'm actually kind of introverted. And the alcohol just made me think I was extroverted. It made me think that I was the life of the party.
And liquid courage.
And now I'm like, I'd rather just talk to like one or two people and have like talk about life and like weird things.
Yeah.
Like stuff like
totally.
that.
I feel like, sometimes, like I said, you could be yearning for something deeper, some sort of deeper connection.
Yeah.
And you're just like having to mask it because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. But, people coming to want to work with you, I think, is proof of just your authenticity. It shines. And when people see that, they're drawn to it, and they want to work with somebody that has been through some rough shit, has come out the other end, so they have that experience, but then they're also not afraid to talk about it.
Right.
And I've found that, like, creating a brand around that, letting people know, like, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, this is what I'm doing now, all this cool shit I'm doing. Yeah, that's how you, like, draw people in, clients or whatever, or just like-minded people.
Yeah, that's my hope. I always want more clients.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to go part-time and I'm like, this is scary, but I know I've been leaning into like the laws of attraction and reading up on that and manifestation. I have this note in my phone that I started like a month ago and it said, good things happen to me every day. Yeah. And I put something in there every day that was good that happened to me. Even if I can't think of something right away, I'll sit there and just for a few minutes, like, what was good about today?
Yeah, I love that.
And just practicing an attitude of gratitude, because I was so negative for so long, and I don't want to live in that space anymore. Like, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 36. So, in theory, could be halfway through my life, and I don't want to keep living, like, a slave to alcohol, a slave to a drug, a slave to a job that I don't have control over my schedule, and that's not necessarily the case. My employer is amazing. But just having more ownership over my life and my day and doing things that feel good for me and where I can have impact. That's what I want. Like, I don't necessarily get into coaching because I'm trying to make a lot of money. I actually don't think in the grand scheme, I don't charge as much as a lot of other coaches, because I've heard some crazy shit. Like I had a conversation like 6 weeks ago with, she's now a client. She got quoted like $650 a month. I'm like, what?
Wow. Yeah.
I'm like, am I undercharging? Like, that's wild. I could never.
Yeah. I wonder if it was like a dietitian or like a weight loss specialist or anything, just a nutrition coach.
It was just somebody like me.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, good for you. Maybe they had a lot of followers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe when you get to that point, you can be justified in that. I'm new, so I'm just trying to create opportunity for people to change their life around. That's my hope. And I always tell people, like, it's simple, right? It's just a couple of things every day that you should focus on, but it's hard as fuck because you have to do it every day.
Every day. And you got to fight those battles every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make good decisions. But over time, it becomes a new lifestyle. It becomes the
right.
new you.
I don't think about alcohol really at all anymore. I don't feel triggers to drink, so that's like super freeing.
Yeah.
Cocaine's a little different. I still think about that sometimes because that was just such a different animal compared to alcohol. Yeah. So once in a while I'm like, man, I loved how I felt, but I'll never go back to that.
Well, you gotta be really careful with that stuff. There's like fentanyl and everything, that's nuts.
That's something I think about too. Like, I could have died.
Yeah.
I could have died.
You're cutting it pretty close.
Yeah.
You could have been, That's wild. It's dangerous. But, back again, I think there's not a whole lot of money in coaching. I know that. I do it part-time because I love it, right? And it's that passion and that authenticity that comes through when you just do things that you love. And then talk about habit building, like you're doing the things that you love and you're just going to enjoy your life a little bit better.
Yeah.
And there's no need to drink or anything like
that.
If you're actually like doing what you love and you're fulfilled,
right,
then you don't need anything.
Right. And leaning into that was hard because even going to like my first concert sober or first this thing sober, I felt like I was experiencing it again for the first time as an adult. And it was hard because I'm like, how do I enjoy this without alcohol? I don't know how. And it's like, okay, you just have to be present. Just try to be present. Stop thinking so much.
Well, that ADHD doesn't help.
No, but that's hard. Like being present in the moment is something I've had to really practice and work on, and I'm still working on that every day because I'm somebody, like, if I sit down for even an hour, I'm like, I gotta get up and do something.
Yeah.
I have to be doing something at all times, and I love that about myself in some respects because it makes me very efficient and productive, but I hate that at the same time because it's like I never shut off.
Yeah.
And that's what alcohol used to give me.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to find ways to shut the brain off without medication, because there are medications for that. There's Xanax, there's Klonopin, and I'm like, I'm not taking anything like that because I have an addictive personality, and that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, just being able to deal with those things as they come up and sit through them. I think when I talked about when I was sober for a little bit, that was huge, because it's not so much that I want to have a drink, it's just that I feel overwhelmed and I want to shut down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just like it's too many thoughts going on.
Right.
And, what I learned to do was, breath work, sit down and breathe, go for a walk outside.
Yep.
Because I'm the same way. I got to be moving or like, working on something, doing something.
Right.
So just finding other ways to kind of tune in, sit with those feelings or emotions, and then process through them rather than just like mask them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just prolonging. The issues are there. You got to deal with them.
Yep.
So just, different things to try to coping mechanisms.
Yeah. One of the more profound things that my therapist said to me was, she said, mad is sad's bodyguard. So every time you're sitting there like mad about something, it's your defense mechanism, because you're really just like deeply sad inside. And I'm like, oh, you're right.
but it's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's
Yeah.
okay to like sit there and feel sad. You don't have to push through everything. You can just sit in it for a little bit, and it'll go, and you'll learn something about yourself, and you'll be better and stronger.
Right.
And again, it comes back to that honest, authentic expression, and like being able to talk about that stuff in therapy or with friends or whatever, also helps just like get that shit out.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling it as intensely every time.
Right. And that's some of what I've used social media for. More so TikTok. I'll just like have a thought and I'm like, I'm going to film myself talking about this. It just like inspires me in the moment, and then I will just talk about it. And I have a lot of good videos, like 4 or 5 minutes, which is kind of long for most people to pay attention to.
That's a good rant.
More about like sobriety. Like these are the things that I wish I knew to go to or utilize in my early sobriety, or these are the things I've learned about myself, or if you're in early sobriety, like here's kind of what helped me. And then obviously the nutrition stuff, but my sobriety content tends to do better. There's just so many people out there who are hurting from that and don't know how to stop. And I can give you all the tips and tricks, but at the end of the day, it comes down to like, you have to be so sick of your own shit. And then you will change. And I can't get you to be ready to do that. Nobody can. You have to come to that decision on your own. And I think that goes for like a weight loss journey or a health or fitness journey. Like you have, I can sit there with you for a half hour and talk about my coaching, but if you're not ready, you might sign up with me, but you're not going to do the work.
Right. There has to be a personal catalyst. I call it, everybody has their own rock bottom, right? It doesn't have to look like face down in the gutter somewhere. It can be like, oh man, I'm just sick of feeling this way. I'm sick of showing up to the world like this. I'm going to do something about it. And whether it's with drugs or alcohol or fitness and weight loss, anything like that, you have to be the one to initiate and follow through and everything. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Oh, I say that all the time.
Well, in our world, in the coaching world, it's like, I can't do it for you.
Right.
You have to show up. You have to do it.
Right.
I'm
And
here to guide
my
you.
most successful clients are the ones who take the plan and they execute it every day. And the proof is in the pudding. Like, if you don't do the work, you don't get the results. And I want to go back to the rock bottom. I just did a video on this recently on my TikTok, because I, for a long time, thought like my sobriety's like not that serious because I didn't have this full crash out. And like, I didn't go to rehab, like I didn't lose everything or kill somebody. And I always thought like, oh, yours wasn't that bad. I convinced myself of that, and now I realize like everybody's rock bottom is different.
Yeah.
My rock bottom looks very different from somebody who maybe does need to go to rehab or needs detox, and that doesn't mean that they had it worse than me or vice versa. That's been really freeing for me to realize like what you were going through was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was just in your own head and it wasn't shown externally, but
Yeah.
that's been a lesson for me and a good freeing one too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a movie, right? It's not like
No.
you're not gonna completely crash out, lose everything. But you, like I said, I mean, you just wake up and you're like, I can't do this anymore, and then that's it, and then you just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a choice every day.
Yeah, yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, I don't know, maybe who knows what my future holds? Maybe I'll get into that someday. I've gone for some extended periods of time, but I even feel like a little guilty sitting here across from a sober person being like, yeah, I drink sometimes, you know.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I have clients who drink like in moderation. I realize that more people than not can moderate just fine and can have one or two and take it or leave it. For me, every time I would go out to a restaurant, like if they gave me one and it was starting to get low, I would start feeling anxious.
Yeah.
Or if they weren't coming back quick enough with the next one, I would be like pissed. And I should have known that was problematic.
Yeah, when you're in it, you can't really.
No.
The awareness isn't really there.
Nope.
So just from taking those breaks though, I've realized that too. That like, you know, once I start, I don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like one right after the other, and then end up feeling sick. And then the next day is dog shit. You know, I feel like crap. So in that way, just with that awareness and going without for a while, it's like. That helps me to be able to moderate a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be bad. Like I would, you know, I saw this thing that Bam Margera said, and it was like perfect because he just got recently sober.
I listened to it. He was on Bunny's podcast recently, Jelly Roll's wife.
Oh yeah.
And his story of like how he got kind of schlepped around to all the different rehabs in Florida. I was like, this poor guy.
Yeah.
I used to love Bam. I like grew up watching those shows.
Yeah, you could totally see like how wild they were and going down that direction. But he's like, you know, you wake up and with a hangover and you realize that if you have a beer, you'll feel better. If you have 2, you'll feel even better. And then 3, and then all of a sudden you're drinking again. And it's like that was my life for a little while, you know, and that it sums it up perfectly. And you know, taking a break from that, now I'm able to have the hangover and be like, okay, this sucks. A, I don't really want to do that again.
Yeah.
And B, like, you know, I'm just going to ride through it. You know, I have that strength now to just ride through it and not do, like, the hair of the dog or whatever. So, I mean, you pick up tips and tricks, and I think it does help you in all the other aspects of your life just to have that resiliency and have that discipline and dedication to, like, no, I'm not doing that. Like I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I take it one day at a time. Like I never future pace myself. Like the idea of being sober forever still sounds a little daunting. I'm like, I don't know what life's gonna be like in 30 years. Maybe I can. So it's just one day at a time. Life is better this way.
Yeah.
I can't even believe like that I used to drink a bottle and a half of wine every day. Like nothing. Like I wouldn't even feel it until 3 glasses in, and I wasn't doing a 5-ounce pour. Like I'm like, how did I do it? How did I do it? But I was so conditioned. That that was just normal to me.
Yeah.
It was nothing for me to like. We would pregame like kindergarten graduation for like a nephew. Like what? Like this is so bad. Like no.
I feel like it's in our culture. You know,
is.
and especially around here in this area, Saratoga and Glens Falls, it's all bars and restaurants. Like, you know, I would love the idea of having like just a place to go to where you can hang out and like a dry bar, mocktails, juices, sauna, cold plunge or something, or just like a hangout area where you can just go hang out and maybe, I don't know about workout, but like, you know, just hang out in a social environment.
I would go there all the time.
Right? Yeah. So why don't we have that? I mean, it's health, history, and horses in Saratoga, and the health part seems to be, you know, going down the drain because it has the most bars per capita on Caroline Street. It's like the most in the U.S. or something like that. So, so it is the culture. I mean, people will say things like, "Oh yeah, I need a drink to get through this," or Going
I
to
hear
a
it
nephew's
all
graduation.
the time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we don't have to live like that, people. I don't really go out really at all anymore.
Yeah.
Why would I? But one thing that is promising is the younger generation coming up doesn't seem to be as interested in alcohol. Maybe they might smoke weed a little bit more, but like I don't care about that.
Yeah.
That's refreshing to see that they seem to be kind of bucking the system, that like the millennials and Gen Z are very much like alcoholics.
Yeah.
But yeah, even certain like meetings I'm in or board meetings, I'll hear people talking about it and I'm like, you sound so stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you used to sound like that.
It's just the way it is. The way
But
it
now
goes.
on the other side, I'm like, wow, like it is so rampant in our society. Like everything revolves around that. And if you kind of buck up against that and challenge that, I've gotten some nasty comments online before, like,
Really?
oh, you're lame, or like, just, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I know that is a reflection of them and their own insecurity
For
around
sure.
alcohol. It has nothing to do with me, and I just let it go.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel
whatever.
like 90% of online is just shit talking.
People suck.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
suck.
Can't you just be happy for somebody that's doing something that they like to do or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and
Somebody's
if I
doing
ever
good.
get like negative comments, I lean into it. I will like stitch it and be like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like troll back a little bit because I think it's funny. I don't take anything to heart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. And it's such a big world. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
You know?
I'm like, you would not say that to my face.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah. 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 It's crazy. We got to wrap up, but I do want to ask one question that I ask everybody on the podcast, and it's kind of just a silly little one, but let's say you were on death row,
Okay.
right? And you would get your last meal.
Okay.
What would that be?
It would probably be Druthers mac and cheese.
Yeah.
With their pretzels with cheese dip. And if I'm dying, I probably would have a glass of wine, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And then Stewart's mint cookie crumble.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's carbs.
Carbs.
Lots of carbs.
Yeah.
And cheese and dairy and all that. Yeah. Comfort food.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Before you leave, I want you to tell people where they can find you.
Yeah.
You have a really inspiring story, and
Thank you.
I hope that this helps bring more people to you.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get involved with you, coaching or otherwise, how do they find you?
I'm on Facebook, Athena Nutrition. The name came from my dog. But also Athena is the goddess of practicality and wisdom, so it's very fitting for what I do. So Athena Nutrition on Facebook, The Sober Weightlifter on Instagram and TikTok, and then athena-nutrition.com is my website.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Thank
so,
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, I really admire your authenticity and your passion and everything. So I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to find her, that's where you go. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been another great week at Food for Thought. Stay healthy, guys.